hear me?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Sorry, I had to start the broadcast. I had to put my hair back. It's so hot here.
Yeah, you're breaking up and I just hear part of what you're saying.
Is that better? Is that any better?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. How are you?
Doing all right. Keeping busy.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to. So
Now what's
I guess Mike couldn't connect in last week. You know, I sent him the invitation a couple of times, but he said he couldn't get in. So hopefully he'll be able to get in this week.
So you disappeared on me for a minute there.
Oh.
Not sure what's going on.
I don't know. Are you remote or are you at home or?
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I should have Wi-Fi, better Wi-Fi in just a minute.
Okay.
Do we know if Colby or Mike were going to be able to join today?
I think that they were. So, I mean, it's only 8:02, so I'm hoping. I just plugged in my phone, so I was going to see if, you know, hopefully they'll send me a message if they're having a problem.
Okay.
Colby usually gets on like around 5 after.
Okay.
A lot of reading this week. I hate when there's 2 chapters.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And there were 1 or 2 answers on the group quiz that I wasn't really sure about.
Yeah, there's quite a few I'm not really sure about, so. I didn't get through everything, so.
We're expecting some storms tonight, and I'm wondering if that might be part of my connection problem.
Oh wow. Wow. Where are you at?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and we've had bad storms off and on for the last week or so. But then last month we had 2 really big hailstorms, lots of flooding and property damage. It's been crazy.
Yeah, I mean they show it on the news every morning and it's like, oh my, like houses like awful. You know, I mean
Yeah.
we had that huge Hurricane Sandy storm, but you know, we don't get them as often as you guys do.
Well, we've had drought for a couple of years, so this year is really wet and crazy.
And all that water and mud, I mean, it just damages so much.
Yeah. Josh, I need a charger, Josh. Can you get the one that's over there in the kitchen for me?
Yeah. So this is first grade after the ceremony.
I'm going to send another invite to Colby and Mike and see. You still with me,
Okay,
Selena?
I think, yeah, I think I'm in business. Sorry, I had to plug in my phone.
No, I know. Crazy. Well, I mean, I think we could probably, you know, you and I can start talking at least, and if the guys jump in, they jump in. But
Yeah, let's do that. Sorry, I my son has scouts on Wednesdays and I came up there and they weren't there, so I was a little bit disorganized, but I'm ready to go.
okay. Um, so, okay. So for number one, if the consumption schedule shifts downward and the shift was not caused by a tax change, then the savings schedule.
I put that it would shift upward.
So,
And that was, and I know we were trying to put where we found stuff, but that was just from what I remembered from watching the PowerPoint.
okay. I had that it could go upward or downward only because it had one of the questions in the book kind of said that, but I don't know if it actually said that it shift downwards. So,
Well, because consumption and savings add up to one, right? So if consumption goes down, then saving would go up, right?
you would
Or
think.
maybe I'm not understanding that right. Because what they said was if it's a tax change, then both consumption and saving will shift the same direction opposite of the
Correct.
tax change. But other than that, in a normal situation, it said that if consumption shifts downward, then savings would shift upward. Let me see if I can find it in the notes, the PowerPoint.
Are you talking about the PowerPoint in the book or the PowerPoints that were in like the additional lesson helps that he puts on the?
No, the one from McGraw-Hill. So the one from the book.
All right.
Yeah, let me look in the book here in that section.
Marginal propensity to consume, proportion of a change in income consumed, proportion of a change in income saved.
Oh, it looks like I timed out from the book. I have to log in again.
Yeah, because I mean the PowerPoint only has three slides.
No, the McGraw-Hill one on chapter 10 has like 25 slides, and it's the one that's narrated. You can play it and it'll read it to you.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't.
Those?
I didn't go through those.
Oh, okay. So let me go back to the question. This is so hard having so many tabs open.
Mm-hmm.
Consumption schedule shifts downward, so that's what we need to. Oh, that's the one I want to be on. So I had to use a different browser so that I could use the find feature, the Control F, because it won't work in Google Chrome.
No, it won't.
So that's a pain. Okay, well, I'm not finding it in the book, but from what I remember from the PowerPoint, it would go upward. So
That's
I don't
fine.
know what would cause it to go downward, I guess, is my question here.
Well, I just remember reading something that said it could go either way. That's why.
Do you know where you saw that?
Yeah, in 10.1 it was in this because it talks about the savings schedule.
Right. Okay. So you have the consumption schedule and then the saving schedule. So there's a direct relationship, but saving is a smaller proportion. If households consume a smaller portion of disposable income, then they must be saving a larger and larger portion. So if the consumption schedule is
Yep.
going down, then the saving
And
schedule would
yep,
be going up.
would go up. Okay. The so-called wealth effect will result in households, I have spending more and saving less.
I put spending more and saving more. So do you remember where you found that? Because I was trying to find it in the book. Again, this was one from the PowerPoint.
Yeah, it says in 10.2, it says, events sometimes suddenly boost the value of existing wealth. When this happens, households tend to increase their spending and reduce their saving. This so-called wealth effect shifts the consumption schedule upward and the savings schedule downward.
Okay, sounds like we're good then.
They move in response to households taking advantage of the increased consumption possibilities avoided by the sudden increase in wealth.
Okay. All right, so number 3, as the consumption and saving schedules relate to real GDP, an increase in taxes will shift, and I picked downward both the consumption and saving schedules.
That's what I have too.
So for a lower real interest rate typically induces consumers to
Purchase more goods that are bought using
credit. Okay. So 5.
Yeah, I'm so not good with the graphs.
Sometimes they confuse me.
Yeah. Figure A and savings schedule and figure B, which correspond to each other across the different. The figure A consumption increases along line A2. Okay. In figure B, there would be, well, we're saying if consumption goes up, then savings goes down, right?
Right. So I thought that it was movement down along line B2 because let's see.
Yeah, I get confused with the shift in the movement rule, kind of like
Yeah, so but consumption didn't shift, right? So it didn't go from A1 to A2 or A2 to A3. It just moved along A2. So that's why I was thinking that we would be on B2 and that we would just move
Yep.
along that line.
Yep. So
And it would move down.
moving down. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6, I wasn't sure about. If businesses feel more optimistic about the state of the economy, then this change is likely to, and I put shift the investment demand curve to the right. So I don't know if that was what you thought. Because again, it was, is it a shift or is it a movement? I don't know.
Right, because I have caused movement of the investment demand curve. So a movement up of the of demand, and up and right are kind of the same thing, and down and left are kind of the same thing. So we both have it going up. If you just have to decide if it's a movement or a shift.
Curve, or is it just a point along the curve, I guess is what we're trying to understand. So did you put notes for where you found that? Because that was one that I was just kind of guessing from the PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's in 10.3.
Yeah, I'm there now. And you know, it doesn't, it's funny because they don't really say shift and movement and explain it well.
It just says if they feel more optimistic. So, you know, when it talks about the investment demand curve in the first paragraph, it says, we now move from a single firm's investment decision to a total demand by the entire business sector. And this is saying if businesses. So if every.
Let's see. Because I was trying to find, so where are you looking? Are you looking under the real interest rate or investment, the section on investment demand curve?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the curve itself is the whole business sector. So assume that, so we're talking about all businesses. So
Mhm.
then it would necessarily be the whole curve rather than just a movement.
Right.
So it should shift the demand curve to the right. Because if we're saying businesses, we're including all businesses, it sounds like, in that question. So if all
Mhm.
businesses feel more optimistic, then it's going to cause a shift in the curve, and it's going to go to the right, which is up.
Okay. All right. That
So
makes
that's
sense.
kind of where I was going with that. And maybe I have it wrong, but I'm just trying to, because I couldn't, like, you go and type shift versus movement and you get nothing.
Right.
You know, they're not that specific about it in the chapter.
Okay. Let's see. In 10.4, it says any factor that leads businesses collectively to expect lower rates of return on their investment shifts the curve to the left.
Right. So
So if they're
that's the
feeling
opposite of the question. So if
right,
they're optimistic, then it would do the opposite and shift
and
the
it's shifting the
curve to
curve to
the
the right.
right.
Okay. So that makes sense. Okay.
Okay. Excellent.
That's in 10.
So confusing.
Crazy. The variability of business profits helps explain the instability of investments, does not affect investment spending, which depends on.
Okay, so let's see. The it's going to be in section 10.4, I think. So
Right.
variability of profits. High profits often generate optimism about the future profitability. Low current profits spawn doubt. So let's see, the variability of profits. So it talks about it contributes to the volatility of investments. So I think the closest answer is helps explain the instability of investments over time. Does that
Okay.
sound right to you?
It does. I guess I got confused where under the expectations piece it says business investment is based on expected returns. The expected rate of return on capital invest, you know what I mean, as opposed to. But I think you're right. I think I probably didn't
Well,
read down, you know, I didn't.
I don't know I can't tell what page this is on, but it's right under figure 10.7, you
Yeah.
know, and so there is the variability of expectations. That's one element, but under the variability of profits, it says profits themselves are highly variable from year to year, contributing to the volatility of investment. So to me, that sounds like helps explain the instability of investments over time.
Yep. I'll agree with that.
Let's see, the next one should be pretty easy. Personal savings is equal to disposable income minus consumption.
Right.
And that was right from the formula. Number 8, the fraction or sorry, 9, the fraction or percentage of total income which is consumed is called the, what?
The fraction or percentage of total income which is consumed is called the
Average propensity to consume.
Right.
Okay. So then 10, what is the slope of the consumption schedule or consumption line for a given economy? So did you answer that one?
I did not.
Okay, I put it as 1 minus the marginal propensity to consume. And that was in 10.1. So let me move back there and see if I can show you where I found that. Oh, my navigator is slow. Okay. Let's see. So if you go down to that, there's that key graph.
Yep.
And then is whenever spending changes.
Right. It's
But propensity to consume, I don't know, now I'm confused because the slope of the consumption schedule would be equal to either the average propensity to consume or 1 minus the marginal propensity. So marginal propensity would just be the change
right.
from like 1 year to the next. So that would be something different. I think it's the average propensity to consume.
Okay, so let me look for a second.
Because if your average propensity to consume is, let's say, I'm trying to find a good example in the graph.
Okay, so it talks about average and marginal propensities. It shows the fraction or percentage of total income that is consumed is the average propensity to consume.
Right. So then if you look at the key graph, the one that has, it's got saving 5 billion on the one side, and then it has like kind of that equilibrium, and then the dis-saving on the other side.
Yep.
And it's got that 45-degree line. The blue line, line C, is the consumption schedule, and that's equal to the average propensity to consume.
Right.
Okay. So that's the one I picked, APC.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy. So 11, if the slope of a linear consumption schedule increases in a private closed economy, then it can be concluded that, and now on this one I was confused. I didn't know if it was going to be marginal propensity to consume has increased or income has increased, because
Right.
I don't know if it's fair to say income has increased. I wonder if we have enough information to say that, but the MPC definitely would be higher. So I don't know what a private closed economy means.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
does that
right.
mean, I couldn't find anything on that.
Let's see. If the MPC is a numerical value of the slope of the consumption schedule, then the MPS is the numerical value of the slope of the savings. Measures the slopes of the consumption and savings line using large portions of observe the consumption changes by 15 billion for each 20. Yeah, again.
There's a little bit of it of something. Oh, I can't. What section is this? This thing. They don't have enough like identifiers in here. But underneath the global perspective graph in 10.1, it has a section on average and marginal propensities. So the second paragraph where it says MPC and MPS, it talks about how just because they're spending a certain proportion of their total income, it doesn't guarantee that they're going to consume the same portion if their income comes in higher. So that's why I didn't think we could say income has increased, because they might get more income, but they might not spend it at the same rate.
Right.
But if their MPC goes higher, then the consumption schedule would go higher too.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
No, I don't know if that's right or if I'm totally crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went right to income, but then when you start kind of explain, so it's disposable income and household income rise.
Yeah, I wish the guys were here so we
right.
a tiebreaker. Because we could both be wrong and not know it, right?
Right. Some of the MPC changes in disposable income must always be 1. Consuming or saving out of extra income is either
because usually when income increases, does it always mean they're going to spend more? It might mean that they start to save more. That's why I picked MPC on that one. There's just so many reasons why it might not be income.
all right. I mean, I can certainly agree with that.
So then let's look at number 12. Dis-saving occurs when income is less than consumption. So basically you're spending more than you earn.
Right.
Okay. So then 13 should be pretty easy. with an MPS of 0.3, the MPC will be 1 minus 0.3.
0.3.
Yeah, because you're either way, the total of either MPS or MPC is 1 minus.
Right. That one we agree on. Again, we could both be wrong, but we agree on it. Two basic determinants of investment spending are detriments.
Sorry, I lost you for a minute, but you're back now. So you were just going on to 14?
Yep.
Okay. That one I found in 10.3.
Yep.
And I had expected returns and real interest rate. Is that what your answer was?
It is.
Okay, awesome. So for 15, investment demand curve shows varying amounts of investment that would be undertaken at various levels of the real interest rate.
Right.
Okay. So then for 16, if the real interest rate increases, then I put the demand curve will shift to the left. But now I'm wondering if it's a movement downward along the curve.
Yeah.
Shoot. I don't know what to do on those.
Right. They always the movement and the shifts always confuse me. So let's see. So the real interest rate increases. So
I still think it's a shift, but I don't know how to validate that.
Oh.
And it's going to be in 10.3.
Mm-hmm.
So how changes in real interest rate affect investment? So if the real interest rate increases, so really it talks more about how they have to choose their investments based on the expected rate of return. So then there's a section on the investment demand curve.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And it talks about how they're accumulated based on each different category.
Right, so if you look at the graph, right, 10.5 graph. Investment maker is constructed by running up.
The curve slopes downward, reflecting an inverse relationship between the real interest rate and the quantity of investment demanded. But it still doesn't really explain well enough for me the difference between the shift and the movement.
Mm-mm. The level of investment depends on the expected rate of return and the real interest rate. Shifts of the investment demand curve. So 10.4 talks about shifts. Right, so the investment demand curve is a curve that shows the amounts of investment demanded by an economy in a series of real interest rates. So if real interest rate increases.
So if real interest rate increases, then you would see a decrease in investment demand, which should be a shift to the left.
Yeah, more than a movement. I think it's more of a shift.
Yeah, I think that's right. Wow, I'm gonna die on the test.
Yeah, no, me too. These were tough chapters. And I just kind of, I can't say I read every, I skimmed over them and.
Well, and sometimes I read it and go, what did I just read?
Right, and try and just get the concepts, but.
Yeah. Okay, so 17, the simple multiplier formula assumes the following except And so I was looking at this in 10.5, and the one that was excluded, as far as I could tell, was that firms would raise prices as buyers
Right.
buy more of their output, because they specifically said that would not happen.
Right.
Okay. So 18, if households in the economy save more of any extra income that they earn, then the multiplier effect will, I kind of guessed on my answer. So what was your thinking on this one?
I have increase. Save
So
more
the
money.
multiplier effect would increase?
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Because I think when you look at it, it talks about how changes in investment or one of the other components of total spending can increase or decrease real GDP by a multiple amount. So the way I understood it was that an increase in saving would result in a decrease in spending. So it made me feel like the multiplier effect would decrease, because the multiplier is basically the change in real GDP divided by the initial change in spending. So I think it would go down. So their example talks about the economy rising. They don't have an example
Right.
of this savings. It's not fair. But it would be a negative change in spending, not a positive one. So I think it would still decrease the multiplier. So then the other option is that it would become less than 1. And so I don't know if that's true.
All right. So it says here, the multiplier we have just described is based on simplifying assumptions. Consumption of domestic output rises by the increases in income minuses the increases in savings. But in reality, consumption of domestic output increases in each round by a lesser amount than implied by the MPS alone. Households use some of the extra income in each round to purchase additional goods from the floor. Right. So the multiplier effect is reduced, and the 1 divided by MPS formula for the multiplier overstates the actual outcome.
So that's answer to 20.
Yeah.
About it overstating the outcome.
Right.
So on 18, what are you thinking it is?
So I'm just looking at the quick review. It says the higher the marginal propensity to consume, the lower the marginal propensity to save, the larger the multiplier. Multiplier effect reveals that an initial change in spending can cause a larger change in domestic income and output. The multiplier is the factor by which the initial change is magnified. Multiplier equals change in real GDP, initial change in spending. So this is talking about savings, though. So I think it is decrease.
Yeah, because I don't think, okay, so estimates range from, oh no, that's not a possibility. That's just what they think it is. I think it's just increase. I don't think it takes it negative or less than 1.
Right.
Okay. All right. 19, the change in real GDP resulting in an initial change in spending can be calculated by multiplying the multiplier by the initial change in spending. Is that what you had?
Yes.
Okay. Which was some little bit of reverse math for me, and that breaks my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So you were on the simple multiplier of 1 divided by MPS just a minute ago. And so when I put that, it was that it overstates the multiplier because it includes the purchases of imports or the paying of taxes.
Correct.
Okay, great. It's like those 4 choices are crazy. It's like understate and include or exclude or So I put overstates and includes.
That's what I had too.
Okay. So that's pretty good. Do we have any we just want to try to look for a little bit more, or do you feel pretty comfortable with most of them?
Yeah, I guess the only one I'm it's really the shift and movement ones that make me a little crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean 16 and 6. I don't know, we're only halfway through. I'm so confused.
I know. I just hope I make it through the final.
Oh, we
with
will.
at least a B. I gotta get a B at least.
That would be nice.
Well, because I get reimbursed by my job, but I have to get A's and B's in order to do that.
Oh, wow. That's good. So if you get a C, you don't get reimbursed at all?
Oh, let's see. So I'm pretty comfortable with the responses on the quiz. Did you want to talk about the mind map at all? I'm not sure really what we can discuss
I think
about that. It's hard when we're not both looking at the same one.
Yeah, I think the mind map is tough with the, you know, to talk about, I guess, as a group, but that's kind of the feedback. I mean, what I've started doing is, like, I look at the terms and the concepts at the beginning.
Yeah.
And write them down, and then see kind of where they come up in the chapters. And then that's
Right.
helping me to label them a little bit better.
Yeah, I kind of did that too. And then it helped me to make sure I got them all. But also, you know, I had shared with you some feedback from Brother Spalding early on where he wanted to make sure that I was labeling everything. And he had asked me to be more specific. Then I got feedback that said just a bullet point in the labels and I was doing too much. So I was a little bit confused and trying to figure out what to do. So I'm trying to like make my labels on the connectors just be really simplified, you know. So that's hard. But
Yeah, I'm trying to group them together, and then as I group them together, I'm just really coming up with the word. Like I'm, you know, I mean, he said the same thing to me. Just make sure that they're, you know, that they're labeled. So.
Because I guess, you know, for me, I feel like the purpose of it should be to help me study better. So when I put a little bit more information in those labels, it helped me, you know. But either way, I still have to think about how the concepts are related and try to provide, you know, some kind of explanation. So
I agree.
I'll just
So
keep
yeah, I
plugging
mean,
on.
you and I have talked about the mind maps before, so I'm sorry that Colby and Mike aren't here, but I guess
it would
we're
have
just
been interesting to hear if they've had any feedback from
from
Spalding
theirs.
too. Yeah.
Now I'm not around tomorrow. I mean, I typically try to get on to the classes, but I'm not. I'm heading to Florida this weekend for a friend's wedding, so.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll be en route when the class is tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So I was hoping to try and get all my homework done so I didn't have to bring my computer with me, but I don't think that's going to happen. So.
Oh, I know. I'm going to Idaho in June, and I'm going to have to take my computer. But hopefully, you'll have good weather for the wedding. I've got a friend's wedding on Saturday here in town, and we're supposed to have rain and thunderstorms. It's an outdoor wedding.
Yeah, well, this is too. It's in Florida where they predict thunderstorms every day. So.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, have a safe.
Thank you.
I know that Brother Spalding usually tries to record the meetings. I'm planning to attend, but if he says there's any like hiccups with the recording, I can send you my notes if you want. Because I usually
that'd
try
be
to.
great. Yeah, no, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. I'll keep an eye on that tomorrow.
All right. Well, have a good week, and we'll be back together next week.
All right. Thank you, Joan. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.